Sorry.
All right, so yeah, I can start. So hey everyone, as I mentioned before, my name is Trey Turner. I've been working with Calculus Roundtable for, I want to say, about 5 years. It could be a little bit more than that. Um, I, my experience with code, I grew up in a gaming family, so we played a lot of video games. I grew up just loving to do that, playing Pokemon, things like that, Tetris. I think my first system was like a Nintendo Entertainment System, and we had just about every Nintendo console, I want to say, growing up, and some PlayStation ones too. Uh, but I first took a coding class when I was in high school, I believe in my junior year. So I was in the 11th grade, part of a robotics class. I think we did a lot of different things, but the one that stuck out to me then was Scratch because it was able to help me kind of really get a solid understanding of some of the um, ideas about coding for video games. And so I really love that, and just the programming side of things, art and creation side of things. Uh, right now I live in San Francisco. I've lived here since 2010. Before that, I lived in Pittsburgh, California, into the BART line, way East Bay. And yeah, when I moved to San Francisco, my first job was working for Sega of America, which was like the dream job for me at the time. Uh, Testing video games, having played Sonic the Hedgehog as a kid with like my brothers and siblings and parents and everything. It was just like amazing. And so some games I've worked on are like Thor for the Wii, 360, PlayStation 3. I worked on Call of Duty Black Ops 2, testing out the 3D as well as multiplayer, so zombies and all that, Dishonored, Little Big Planet Racing. I've worked on like Streets of Rage 1, 2, and 3, a bunch of games basically. I went to school for game development at the Academy of Art here in San Francisco. I got my bachelor's of fine art in game development. So in that time, just testing, or not testing, but making a lot of games, trying out different software, things like that. So I've worked with coding languages such as C++, recently Python now, Java, or I should say JavaScript, CoffeeScript here with Calculus Roundtable, helping people learn that. Obviously Scratch. I've worked with the Unity engine making games, also Game Maker Studio, and yeah, I'll just leave that there. So a lot of things, basically.
That is a lot. And I just wanted to thank you for sharing that. That's a lot of different games that you've touched upon and helped develop and design. I just want to remind everybody in the room that the Q&A box is open. And so if there's any questions or answers that are triggered from your sharing or your demo, folks can go ahead and type in that question. It's not public, and we'll pull out the relevant questions and share them with the panel as we go. So thank you for that extensive bio. And today I know, though, the purpose is for you to share a little bit about Scratch programming. So maybe right now we can ask, does anyone have Scratch already ready to go? Is that what you want to start with? Or
yeah, sure.
Okay, so if anyone has the Scratch programming set, raise your hand. Otherwise, we'll go through a step-by-step to set up Scratch with everyone. All right, maybe it would be helpful for us to start from the setting up.
All right, let's do that. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. I might need to log out. We could go ahead and create a new account. That might be helpful. So this is the main Scratch website. So Scratch was developed by MIT. So you would go to scratch.mit.edu to find the site. I believe just searching up or Googling Scratch usually will pull it up as one of the results. But I'm going to log out of my account here so we can go through the basics of creating a Scratch account, because I believe that you need to have one to start doing anything. So first off, you're going to need to sign up. So to sign up, you can hit the sign up button right here at the top. This is the main. Oh, actually, let me give a quick rundown of what Scratch is. So Scratch is a great software where you can learn a lot of great a lot of great the foundational tools to do coding. So with Scratch and with this coding software, you can, like it says here, you can create stories, you can animate characters, you can have talking tales, you can create video games, all sorts of different things. And it's really easy because usually with coding, you have a lot of typing, a lot of code, and all the different syntax. With Scratch, a lot of the different code, it is all in different blocks. So we're going to see that when we get in here. But basically, you stack the code like you would Legos, and it reads it that way. And so it really simplifies a lot of the things. So you can focus more on the creating and getting the ideas without having to focus so hard on typing everything perfectly and making sure your colons are matching your parentheses and all that. And so, yeah, so let's get started.
I have a quick question because you mentioned that Scratch is ideal for kids who are grades 3 to 8. I remember there's a Scratch Junior also. Have you worked with that or?
I haven't worked with Scratch Junior. No, I didn't know that Scratch Junior was a thing.
Yeah.
But I would say that, I mean, I think Scratch is very beginner friendly in general. But I mean, yeah, I can speak too much on Scratch Junior.
Okay, just curious. I know we're focused on Scratch. Thank you.
Yeah. Actually, let's go to join Scratch. So join Scratch. So we're going to need to create a username. I am going to put Scratch test, or I'll call myself Scratch test calc round. Okay. And whatever username you create, please make sure that you create it. You also probably want to make sure that you create your password or remember your password. I'm not going to show my password here, but do remember it, whatever it is. Click on next, select the country. So I'm going to select the country as the United States of America. When was I born? August 91. I am a 90s baby.
90s was a great time.
It was. And actually the same exact year as Sonic the Hedgehog, speaking of.
Wow, yeah.
So they have, you can select your gender. I prefer that. And email. So with this, you will have to put in an email. Usually in the past, with students I worked with, we put our student emails. Another one you can put is like your parents' email. That way they can confirm it that way. I'm just gonna go ahead and put in an email here, which will usually send you over confirmation code. So I'm gonna, and forgive my silly email name, Comic Art Dude. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. So welcome to Scratch. So we can start actually getting started this way. You won't be, so one great thing about Scratch once you get into it is that, as you can see, there's different projects here. So you can see all sorts of projects that other people have created and play them. And so this is the front page, so they have some featured stuff here. I'm gonna click on one real quick, but because it might get a little loud, I'm not gonna, I'm gonna say it and then we can see what it's like. But the great thing about it is you can try other people's projects and you can click on it, open it up and see how the game's made, what makes it tick. You can actually edit or remix the project. And then with Scratch, a really great thing is it shows basically the family tree of everyone who's worked or edited a project, who the original creators were, all sorts of things like that. So then you can see this whole basically library of all these other creators who have worked on the similar projects and see all the different cool ways that people have remixed a game. So right now I'm going to click on solar system. Let's see what solar system is. So this is a studio project. So let's click on this one, Planet Jump. And after we try this game, we're gonna start creating our own. But I just want to give a quick example of some of the things that you can do with Scratch. So, so here you can see the different instructions. The creator put, hope you like the game, new update. They put music in it, all these things. Notes, thanks to Bus Studios for the code. They allow people to put their high scores in the comments. So down here, you can comment on people's games, have people comment on your stuff. And here on the right, as I mentioned, you can see all the different remixes of this game. So anyone who has changed the code a little bit, who has edited it, you can see that. But for now, let's just do a quick play test of this. And I'm going to go ahead and share my sound. Actually, let's see what the controls here are, because I'm not even sure how to play. It just started up, and let's see. Perhaps it will have the instructions here somewhere. So I think we kind of get the idea. You play as a character, you jump on little planets to try to make your way up. But so here we have buttons where we can say remix it, or we can see inside. So I'm just gonna click on this real quick, just to show you all what that looks like to look inside of a project. So here you can see all the different codes, all the different assets. So they have the platforms here, the planets, and all the different things. We can move these around, all that good stuff. So this actually might be a lot. So let's go ahead and just start a new project from the beginning. I'm going to go ahead and bring us back to our Scratch page. So the thing with the email is you will be able to create Scratch projects, but until you get your email confirmed, whether it's from your teacher, your parents, anyone, that's when you'll be able to actually share your projects online. Until you do that, they'll all be saved right here in a folder where you can access it at any time. So this would be your profile. So you could click up here. As you can see, this is my profile I just created, Scratch test calc round. You can put about yourself, what you're working on, and down here in shared projects, that would be the projects you've shared with the world. Favorite projects, if you liked, say, that game you're just playing, you can save that here. I'm going to go ahead and go to create at the top left, right next to our Scratch main page button. And hopefully, let's see. Oh, good. Okay, yes. Just making sure that that my video that I'm sharing is optimized. All right, cool. So this is the main Scratch editor. So here where this box is on the right here with this cat, this is like our viewer. So this is sort of a preview of what the game will look like. If I full screen it here, this is going to be our project. This here is our workspace. So this is where we're going to be putting our code. As you can see, our character here, our sprite one, or cat here, this is the character that we're going to be attaching our code to. So, Scratch is an object-oriented language, so that means our code is going to be attached to an object or character, and those objects are going to be what are going to be reading out the code. So right now, I'm going to rename this from Sprite 1. You can change your sprite's name here in the Sprite section. I'm going to just name it Cat, just so it's a little easier to read here. So yes, as I mentioned, this section here is our workspace. You can see this little ghost of the cat to let you know which character you're attaching your code to. And I'm just going to go and run over some of the basics of what we can do with Scratch. So as you can see, all of our different types of code are neatly color coded here on the left. So we have blocks for motion. So if you want to move the character around, we have our looks. So things, so for instance, I can say, have my cat say hello for 2 seconds, as it says here, or have the cat say hello just indefinitely, or have it think for 2 seconds. Or you can change what that says. Say, oops, say instead I wanted to say like meow. So I would type meow. And we can put this here, click it, and say it says meow for 2 seconds. So I can say meow for 1 second. It says meow for 1 second. All right, I'm gonna put this back over here. We have sounds. You can have it play sounds. Our events, we'll talk about this a little bit later. So we have our control blocks. We'll get to those as well. Sensors, operators, variables, all that good stuff. So let's get right into it. So first things first, we have our characters here. I'm starting with the cat. You can add any character or sprite. So all of our characters in our scene are called sprites. So that could be a character or object, a thing of any sort. So right now we have one sprite, our cat. You can either choose a sprite, you can paint a sprite. We're not going to go over that too much today for time. You can have the program surprise you, or if you have a graphic or a sprite on your computer, you can upload it from your computer. For right now, I'm just going to go to choose a sprite from the Scratch library, because Scratch gives a lot of different pre-made characters. So for right now, I'm going to grab us a, let's grab this bear right here. Okay, it's named bear. We have it in our scene. I'm going to delete our cat. So let's put bear here. We can see different things about our sprite. So it's named bear. This can toggle on or off. This is the size of our object. And here's our stage. So our stage is our background. So I'm going to go here, do our search again to get us a background here. So Scratch has a lot of pre-made backgrounds as well. Let's go ahead and get an easy one. I'm going to select this moon space right here. Okay, cool. Our bear on the moon actually looks so cold out there. I'm going to choose a different background. Let's choose somewhere a little warmer. I'll put him in a forest. There we go. All right. So as I mentioned, there's all these different blocks. So we have motion. Say if I click on this, it'll move our bear 10 steps in a direction. Or if I change it, the smaller the step, the smaller the movement. Or if I move it over here. So this is a turn, 15 degrees. It's nice to test some of these things out. So these all are sort of different instructions that we're giving to our bear. As you can see, the little ghost of our bear. And this is, like I mentioned, our workspace. So right now, this block is just code that's sitting here. So this is the what that we're telling our bear to do, the instruction that we're giving it. So how do we let our bear know when to do this thing? That's where we go to our event blocks. So our event blocks, you can think of it as the when. So when is our character gonna do the thing? So right now we're telling it to move. Let's move this down to 10 steps. I'm gonna move him back over in this direction because he keeps moving to the right or from left to right. So these blocks tell you when the thing's going to happen. So this one says when the green flag is clicked. So that would be when our game starts, do the thing. As you can see, we can, these blocks are stackable. So right now, I could connect these two blocks, and instead of moving one space, I can connect these and it'd be, 2 spaces or 20 spaces altogether. So another one is when space key is pressed. So now, or let's do this. If I put this 10 step here, when I start the game, it's going to move 10 steps and then that's it because it doesn't have any other instructions. If I move this 10 step to the space, now whenever I press the space key, it's going to move that 10 steps. So now we have some motion based on a key input. So what if I wanted to change that button? I can click here where it says space. It gives me a drop-down menu and gives me a bunch of different keys that I can do. So I can say right arrow. And so now if I press right arrow, it moves that way. And what if I want it to go in another direction? Oops, one thing you can do is right click duplicate. I'm not gonna do that. Let's go here and grab it. Left arrow, let's grab this block right here that's just kind of sitting without any event block telling it what to do. So one thing you can do is that everything in Scratch is moving on a grid. So that is sort of our left and right, which is our x-axis, and our up and down, which is our y-axis. One way I like to think about it is your y is y to the sky, exit to the left. And so we can kind of see that here with some of our blocks. Change X, change Y. Right now, this move step is telling our character to move in whatever direction it's facing. So right now, we can see that it's pointed in a 90-degree angle towards the right. So right now, even if he was turned the other way, our sprite itself is facing the direction to the right. So that's always going to be its forward movement. So direction here, you can see this arrow is pointing in the direction that the character is pointing. So if I go to our move steps here, I can change this to -10. So now instead of moving 10 spaces forward, if I press my right key, now with this one, with our left arrow telling us to move -10, if I press my left arrow, it's gonna move backwards. So now forward, backward. All right, we got some stuff happening here. And I am gonna do that a couple more times to give us some more movement. So I'm gonna grab our event block for these. I'm just gonna move a little bit faster, but I'm gonna make sure that I'm describing what we're doing here. So I'm getting a up arrow, left arrow. And again, with this, we can put all sorts of code as long as the instructions that we're giving have some sort of start point that tells it when to play out the code that we're attaching to it. So when we have this code here, attached like this, this is called a script. So a good way to think about it is, we have our stage here, as it's called, our background, this whole area here. You can think of your sprites as your actors, or even if it's an object, it's the thing in your scene. The scripts are what you're giving to your characters, your sprites, your actors, so that they know what to do. These yellow blocks are event blocks, tell it when are you gonna do the thing, when are you gonna do the instructions. The script tells your sprite what to do. And so right now, because all of these have different start points, you can put more than one script on a character at a time. So right now, all of these are existing at the same time, and they're waiting for that event to occur. Our event being this right arrow, left arrow, up, and let's make this down actually. So right, left, up, and down. So as I mentioned before, Your Y to the sky is going to be what's changing your up and down movement. So for our up arrow, I'm going to say change my Y by 10. And I'm going to say for down, let's move our Y by -10. So now if I press up, it's going up, down. And maybe I'm going to put one more thing. So as we can see, there's all sorts of different events. I'm going to grab this one that says when this sprite is clicked. So this lets me know that when this specific sprite that I'm attaching the code to is clicked, it's going to do something. So you can do a lot of different things. I'm going to say, maybe say, hello, I'm a bear for 2 seconds. And then maybe play a sound effect, you know, just something kind of fun. And so you can test it out without putting it anywhere by just clicking on it here. So now if I click on my sprite, it should do the thing. Hello, I'm a bear, and then pop. So one good thing to know about your scripts is that it's always going to read your code from the top down. So as we can see here, our start of our script says when the sprite is clicked, then it's going to go down. It's going to say hello, I'm a bear for 2 seconds. It's going to move down to our second line of code, which is pop. And then it does all those things. So I'm going to do that one more time. Hello, I'm a bear, pop. So you can get really creative with this. I'm going to go to some of our look blocks. So our look blocks changes how the character looks. As you know, like saying the thing is something that we can see. So all of our visual things are going to be under our purple look blocks. Another thing to know is that our sprite can have different costumes, as we can see here. So right here, we have our codes tab. So this is where you grab all the code. And if you want it to do any of the code, you need to make sure that it's here in this workspace, but also attach it to some sort of event. Again, that's telling us when we're going to do the thing. Our costumes here let us know what our sprite is looking like. So right now it's in our bear A, which is this, but it also can do this. It can stand up. So it could be either one of these things. You can attach or draw any number of things here by adding new costumes or drawing or painting. You can also duplicate and edit it. But for right now, I'm just going to keep these two that we have here. So the standing and going down. If you want to add more sounds, you can do that here as well. So right now, our sprite can only play the sound pop because that sound is the only sound that is attached or added to this character. So I'm going to go to our library. Again, you can go here to choose a sound. You can upload a sound. You can record your own sound or find a sound. I'm going to do a couple of things. I'm going to find us a sound and I'm going to record us a sound. So here's all the sounds that we have in Scratch. And test them out by playing the play button. We probably want an animal sound. So let's see what kind of animal sounds we have. Let's see. Okay, I think this sounds kind of a bit like a bear. So let's add this one. So now we have this growl sound. And this is in our bear. So let's go to our code. And now if we go back to our sound, which are these purple or pinkish magenta blocks, we can start adding that. We can also change this one that we have here where it says, hello, I'm a bear. Now, because we have our grunts in there, we can change that. Now, if we click on our bear, he growls. So I'm going to do another quick thing. Another thing we can do is change our size of our bear, and we can switch our costumes. So remember how I mentioned that we have our costumes here. in our costumes tab. Right now, the costume that it has is called Bear A, which is named right here. Then there's Bear 2, which is standing up. So if I wanted to change our bear between those costumes, we can say switch our costume. And so now if we say switch costume to Bear A, it's that. And if we say switch costume to Bear B, it's that. But when we do the thing, there's nothing telling our bear to get back on the ground. So remember that anything in your game or anything in your program, all of your sprites have to be told what to do or they're not going to do anything. So right now it's standing up and it's going to keep standing up until we tell it to do something else. So what are we going to do? So right now I want it to start at this position and then only stand up when I tell it to stand up, and then go back down to on all fours when we want it to be standing on 4 legs. So I'm going to grab this very first block, because remember we mentioned how when your game starts, this is the block that you want. So this is telling your sprite when to do the thing. And the thing I want it to do is to stand on all fours. So that's our bear A. So when our game starts, it should return to that position. So say if I click on this just to test it out, right now it's standing up, it's going to stay like that. But once we start our game, it's going to reset back to that position. So now what do I want to do with our bear is that I want it to just stand up for a little bit and then return to that position. So what do we want to do? So here I'm grabbing our script that says when the sprite is clicked to do the thing. So I'm going to say, when the sprite's clicked, say, hello, I'm a bear, maybe start the grunt sound, but maybe I wanted to do these in a different order. So let's say I can grab this block and move it up here. So now it's going to grunt first and then say, hello, I'm a bear. So if we test that out, it grunts and then says, hello, I'm a bear. We can change that order. Grabbing the bottommost block helps you to move your code around easier. I'm going to attach this next line of code here. So I'll say switch to that standing position, play the sound grunt, and then say, hello, I'm a bear. And let's try that out. Cool, he's doing the thing. But I wanted to return back to the position that it was at. So I can go back to our look blocks, grab another one of these switch costumes. Our starting position was bear A. And so now if I click on that, put that there, test it out, and it returns back to the position because it's the last instruction on our script. So right now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different scripts. I'm going to move them up a little closer so that we can see all of them at the same time. And so now, as it says here, right arrow, left arrow, up and down. I'm going to give us one more quick thing, which is to change point and direction. So as I mentioned right now, we can see our direction here. If we click on it, you can see that 90 degrees is going this way. If we move it here, we can see that it goes up that way. It's about 1 degree. So you can see our direction is 0. If we turn it this way, it's -80, -90, about 180, 170, and let's return it back here. So right now, our character is kind of rotating all the way around like this. And what I actually wanted to do, because I want to have a cool 2D game. If you've ever played Super Mario, you know that a character can turn left or right. So let's do that so that we can get a little bit of a game going on here. So I'm going to say when we press our right key, point in 90 degrees. When pressing the left arrow key, let's say point in -90. So right now it's just gonna flip the character because as we saw, our rotation is set kind of like, a spinning top, but we can change that so that it's a bit more like a 2D game. We can say set our rotation. So that's here under blue. near the very bottom, you can scroll down here in our motion section to our blocks, and this says set our rotation style. So you can set your rotation style to all around, which is what it's at now, kind of turning around like a clock. Or if you want it to be more like Super Mario or Sonic the Hedgehog, we can say just make it a left-right rotation style. So now it will only turn left or right. So I'm going to do that for right now. I'm going to put that right here at the beginning of our game. Again, our script that says when game starts, do the thing, set our rotation style to left and right, and then it will reset to bear A. So now if we test that out, I'm going to do it like this so it's a little easier for us to read. Our right arrow is going here, up arrow here, down arrow script, and our left arrow script. So our right arrow is telling us turn 90 degree and move to, oops, oh no. That's another thing. So because we changed our direction style to point in 90 degrees, remember how I mentioned that these move steps are telling us to move in the direction that it's facing. So now that we're doing that, we're saying point in 90 degrees. I'm going to go back to our left arrow here and change this to 10 instead of -10, because now it's going to point in our 90-degree direction. It's going to point 90 degrees, but then it's going to move 10 steps towards the way it's facing. So now it should do this. Cool, cool. Looks good. And so now let's put in a couple of other things real quick, just to get some interaction happening here in our game. So let's get in another object. Let's get in some food here real quick. And I promise we'll make this fast. So let's get a quick apple. Cool, we got our apple. Let's put our apple here. And right now we can see where our position of our apple is. As I mentioned, remember our left and right is our x-axis. As you can see here, the little left, right arrows. So right now, if we were to change that position, you can see that our x is changing and our up and down is changing. So the middle of our screen is 0, 0. So anything going up past the 0 middle point on our y, our up, down, you can see is changing that value. Anything below this middle point is a negative number. And same for on our x, anything towards the right is increasing, anything to the left is decreasing, it's a negative number. So I just mentioned that to mention the position of our characters, because that's going to come into play a little bit later and as you learn more about Scratch. But for right now, we're going to just put our apple right here. As you can see, when I click on my different sprites, they have their own unique scripts attached to them. So say I wanted my apple to move, because right now it doesn't have any scripts. I can actually take this script and I can move it over to the apple. Once you move it to another sprite, it actually copies it over. So now, as you can see, my apple has this script. So now if I press up, they're both going to go up. But because our bear has down and left and right, it's going to do different things as I press those different buttons. So even though I'm pressing down, our apple's not going to go down because our apple has its own scripts. So I'm going to delete this. You can delete your script by either right click, say delete block, or you can take the whole thing and move it anywhere over here and it's gone. So with our apple, I'm going to do a couple of things. I want it to do something when the game starts. So I'm going to grab our green flag, say when our game starts, I'm going to say go to X and Y, its current positions here. That way it's going to reset its position to wherever its starting position is. I'm actually going to do the same thing with our bear. Go back, make sure you're clicking your bear. As again, this ghost lets you know which character you're editing your code for. I'm going to say bear, go to whatever position you're at now when the game starts. So even if I move my bear all the way over here, once the game starts anew, it resets its position to where it needs to be. I'm going to say for our apple, here's something new that we're going to learn now, is that, remember how I mentioned that you can make things appear and disappear? This is a great way when you have a game to make things show up. So let's say that, for instance, you have a Super Mario stage and you have all your coins. all those coins have to exist somewhere, whether they, you know, are showing up or not. Maybe they're being duplicated or something like that. But the game needs to have the actual asset to pull into the game, or the certain thing to pull into the game world. So even if it's not showing, this apple is still existing somewhere so that the game can pull in that information and bring it into your game. So right now I want it to show up. And we have purple blocks for that, because remember, purple has everything to do with our looks or our visuals. So I'm going to say when our game starts, there's a block here that says show. There's a block here that says hide. So this is how we hide or show anything in our game. So what I'm going to say is show up. And when the game starts, here's a couple of other things. So there's things like wait 1 second. So say if I wanted my bear to do the things that I told it to do last time, maybe I wanted to wait a little bit before it does any of those things. So I can say, wait 1 second. When it's clicked, maybe change to the standing up position and then do everything else. So it waits 1 second. You can change or increase that. So maybe I say 0.5, which is a smaller number than 1. So it's waiting 0.5 seconds, which is half of a second. And I click on it. Stands up and does all that faster. If I do 4 seconds, let's try that real quick. Stands up, waits 4 seconds. See, so it waited 4 seconds and then it did the thing. The reason I mention this is these are different things that we can do. There's repeat blocks. So these lets you know how many times. Say you might want to, if I press the right arrow 1 time, maybe I want it to move many times. So if I press the right arrow with this repeat block, it moves 10 times because it's repeating that process however many times I tell it to repeat it. So if I say 2, oops, and whatever is inside of that repeat bracket is what's going to be repeated. So now if I press right, it's moving 10 steps 2 times. You can also combine those things. So maybe I wanted to repeat that, wait 0.4 seconds and do that 4 times. So you're going to realize that it is, whoops, I clicked it. So it's doing the thing. When I click the right button, it's going to kind of do a popping motion because it's waiting 0.4 seconds and then it's doing the thing. So the reason I'm bringing all these in is because I'm going to do a wait until block. These controls are modifying how our code is going to play out. So I'm going to say wait until, and we have sensing blocks. So our sensing blocks are anything that it's our sprites are sensing. So it can touch, whether it's touching the mouse pointer, whether it's touching the edge of the stage, whether it's touching another character, if it's touching colors, it can sense the distance between objects, things like that. We're not going to go into everything, but I'm just going to grab a touching block. And as you can see, everything has these perfectly fit holes and everything connects really well together. So these things all connect. This, because it's a sensing block, has to go into a diagonal or kind of this diamond shaped hole right here. So that lets you know that it's supposed to go into a block that uses that sort of thing. There's other ones that have things like that too, but we're not gonna get into everything, but just keep that in mind. I'm gonna go here and say wait until touching bear. So once it waits until it touches the bear and then it's gonna do something. So I'm gonna say, oh, we have some sounds here. So I'm gonna grab a sound block. This one is a little chomp sound. I'm gonna say wait until touching bear and then play that chomp sound. So let's play it. Let's start everything over. So our bear is here. I'm gonna move right over here. This script on our apple is playing the first thing, which is go to that position, make sure that it's showing, and then wait until it touches the bear, and then it's gonna play the sound chomp. So let's get our bear over there. And then it's done. So it waits for that to happen 1 time and then it plays it. But what if we wanted to, do it every time that it's touching the bear? We would go to our control blocks, maybe say, instead of repeat 10, what if we want to do it forever? So wait until touching our bear and then play that sound chomp. And let's see what happens when we do that. I'm gonna go ahead and move our bear over here a little bit. Let's get this weight block out of here so it doesn't move so slowly. And now we can, oops, I forgot we have to restart or click on this. So we're starting a new game. Let's go. All right, so you see it's making that chomp sound, but it's doing it really quickly. We have two solutions for that. We can say, play the chomp sound and wait 1 second, and then it'll wait a second before it plays that sound again. So as we can see here, in our bracket, we're saying, wait until touching bear, play sound chomp, and then wait 1 second. And then we're saying, do that forever. So we're putting that in there. So because that bit of code is in that forever bracket, is going to say, but if it's not touching it, all right. The last thing I'm going to say is another solution that we can do instead of just saying play sound is that we can say play sound until done. So that way it won't keep playing the chomp sound sort of over and over. It'll play, wait till the sound plays all the way out, and then it'll, which is a little bit faster. So there's different options there. So that's one thing we can do. And then what I'll say, maybe I don't want it to do it forever. I'll say, wait until touching bear, and then maybe disappear. So let's see what it does with that. So again, hide, show, or show and hide. So I'm gonna grab our hide block, and then let's try it out. And then it disappears. So it's gone. Our bear has eaten our apple. And so what if I wanna have more apples? I can right click, I can say duplicate, and I have duplicated the exact same thing with all the same code. As you can see, if I click on this apple, and this one's called apple 2, you want your sprites to have different names. I think they're required to have different names. I'm going to change our start position for the second apple. So let's go ahead and say show. Maybe I want this apple to be maybe over here. And so now we can see what its position is. X position is 40. So I want it to start at 40, and I want its Y position to start at 126. And so now when our game starts, they both go to their starting position. And let's see if we can eat these apples. All right. The last thing I'll show us, and it'll be very, very quick, is in most games there's some sort of counter, and these are called variables. So I'm going to make us a quick variable. If you've ever played Super Mario, you know that there are coins that you collect. I'm going to say apple, going to make a variable. I'll say for all sprites right now. And as you learn more about this stuff, it'll make a bit more sense. But again, I just want to show some of the things that you can do with this. So when our game starts, right now, you can see that our apple value is 0. So I'm going to say when our game starts, set apple value to 0. And I will say, here you can change that apple value. So you can say set to 0. I can say set to 100 if I want to. 1,000. Ha. And again, the game doesn't change or do anything. If I start the game over, it will restart it to 0 because that's what I told the game to do. And so I want to say for our apple, you can also change that value. So say if I click this block, you can see that it's increasing by however much I say. I can make that 100 if I want to, or 1,000, but it has to be a number. If you try to do like T or something, or try to type in a letter, it won't let you. So I'm going to restart. I'm going to say change apple by 1. Oops, change that to 1. So eat the apple, hide, change apple by 1, change apple by 1, and go. So right now we're at 0. Oh, I got 1 apple. I got 2 apples. And I will say for our bear, I'm going to put one last thing. Actually, I'll put it on our stage. So I'll say when the game starts, I will say wait until operator. I will say our equals. And so we can grab our variable, wait until apples equals 2, and then maybe have a victory sound. I'm going to grab our sounds again, go to our library, choose a sound. Instead of going to animals, we can go to loops. These are music. Sounds cool. Let's get that. Bossa Nova. I'll say play sound Bossa Nova. So this will let us know that we have won our game. So our game has started over. On our stage, we have the script, wait until apples equals 2 and then play sound. So that's going to be our win state, because it's always good to have some sort of win condition for a game. Not always, you don't necessarily have to if it's a tech demo or you're just having fun. But for this one, I want to have that. So let's eat this. Let's eat this. All right. And so again, if I click on my bear, I have that. Hello, I'm a bear. And you can do all sorts of other crazy things as well. You can change the color oop, I forgot I have my stage selected. So right now I'm changing the color of the stage with our look blocks. You can also set the color. You can change things like it's pixelate if you want things to look all pixely. You can clear graphics effects to change that, or I can change my bear if I wanted to change the color of my bear. I can say change color, but affect by however much. Stay like that. Or I can say set color to maybe 70 or 5. You can have a lot of fun with that. You can change its brightness. Or if you want to make it ghost, you have ghost effect, all sorts of things. So I would recommend playing, having fun with these. If you can clear graphics effects to reset it. Also, or you can change its size. Right now, its size is set at 100, which is 100%. Here, you can either change the size or set its size. Say I want to set its size to 50. Or maybe I want to set its size to 300. There's all sorts of different things you can do with your characters in your game. Right now, I'm going to reset its size back to 100. Move these blocks out. And again, you could have all these blocks in here in your play space, test them out. But if they're not attached to an event block, which is, again, telling you when to do the thing, all this code is just sitting out in space, floating into nothingness until you have a block to tell it when to do the thing.
Okay,
So
that's so cool that it's that Scratch allows you to be so creative
yeah.
in audio and visual and everything.
Yeah, so that's a bit of a Scratch 101. You can save your project, rename it. Here at the top, I'm going to call this my bear game. And I believe that, and say save now, saving projects. So now if I go back to Scratch, all of my projects that I've worked on should be in my stuff. So there's a folder here called my stuff. You can click on that, and there it is. You can see inside it and play with it and edit it and come back to it whenever you want.
Thank you, Trey, so much. We are going to hold on to this recording. And for those who couldn't make it today,